Thank you so much to tuning in to WEQY 104.7, the voice of the East Side. My name is Wesley Wright. I am your Un-Bougie Foodie, and welcome. I'd like to actually introduce my guest host. Her name is Carly Matsumoto. Carly, if you would.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor for us to have you, actually. So,
Thank you.
of course, this, folks, is our show, my show, about food, anything food related. And during this time period, as you know, everybody's probably out in, where is it? Falcon Heights?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're out in Falcon Heights. And we all know what time of the year it is. It's fair time. So that's what we're actually going to be talking about a little bit later in the show. But first and foremost, I wanted to, again, introduce Carly Matsumoto to the show. She's a wonderful food blogger. She does wonderful things with, and I have to say, to me, it's food art. And that's not really trying to blow your head up or anything like that. So I appreciate it. But you do very beautiful work when it comes down to the photography on your Instagram. Tell us a little bit more about that, if you would. I mean, like, what started you with food or taking photos of food and so forth?
Sure, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't even really know how it happened. It wasn't an intentional decision to be like, oh, I'm going to start taking really nice food photography pictures. I think it was just something that I sort of fell into. I've always really enjoyed cooking and working with food, and I started following a lot of very other accounts that had really beautiful pictures of food, and then one day I was like, might as well try it out, and yeah, that's really sort of how it happened.
Cool.
Because believe me, when Instagram first started, it was not what it is now.
Really? You think that so?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, hey, but see, what I've seen is just when we were introduced, it was, Aaron, our friend Aaron, said you have a very unique style, and I was doing research, not just to follow you. But it was just, I'm like, okay, well, I do Instagram. I'm not as great as some others that are out there, but certainly, I went and just said, well, I'd like to look at her page and see some of her artistry. And I was blown away, because I know that I think when we met and we were talking, you said that either it may have been Claire or Aaron, someone had mentioned that you do it all by your phone, that's unique in itself. I mean, I know that smartphones, and I think you have an iPhone.
That's right.
They take great photos, so it really is a credit to you in being able to be creative and putting the food together in a way that is not only appealing, but it's enticing. It really is. I mean, people want to look at the photos and say, dang, where was this?
I know. People, it's so funny, because when people come over, they're like, where do you take the Instagrams? Where's the spot? Where is it? I'm like, you'd be surprised. It's just like a table in our house.
Right, see, exactly. And I love that. I really do love that. What exactly is there about cooking that you enjoy? I mean, do you do a lot of the cooking? At least from the Instagrams, it seems like you do a lot of the cooking yourself. So I appreciate that. I'm a cook to a certain extent. I put pictures up after I cook certain things, but I would like to be, doing something on the level of being progressive, I should say. What actually, did you enjoy about cooking, or do you enjoy about cooking, I should say?
I really like just the process of everything. So something like, I don't really use recipes a whole lot.
That's
when
cool.
I cook.
That's way cool.
I I find that it's oddly disruptive.
Okay.
But of course, if I am unfamiliar with ingredients or I'm not sure what the actual process is, I'll look at it and then I'll try to just sort of go off of what I think is logical or makes sense in terms of what else is in there. But for me, it's all about the flow of everything and just being able to sort of mindlessly work with your hands and put things in and sort of play with the food and play with the flavors. And I don't know, when I have to use recipes, I get really anxious for some reason. I just feel like I'm always constantly like,
have to looking or something.
Exactly. That's why I could never be like a baker.
Right.
It's just too. I'm always in awe of people who are very skilled bakers because it's such an exact sort of science. And it's weird because usually I love the organization of things.
Exactly.
And I love going through things like just in general in my life, just very, orderly and like, oh, this and then this and everything seems logical. But then when I'm cooking, I'm just like all over the place. I'm like, I can't be confined by this recipe
that
right
shows
now.
your creativity. It really does show your creativity. At least I feel so. I know that I hear what you're saying about being organized. I know for myself when I am preparing something, I really do have to go through that preparation stage. I know that when we first met and you were teaching us how to do sushi, we were going, yes, exactly. You went through a preparation stage and I was like, okay, see, I like this. I mean, watching you cut the vegetables and all the different ingredients that we were actually going to be using, right. The fish, the different seafoods that we were going to be using. I was like, okay, see, that's why I was in the kitchen and standing there. I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun to me.
I love that. Like, just like, it's sort of, you don't have to think about it, but it's still
an organized process.
Yeah, very intricate and organized process, very physical, and that's what I like about it. And a lot of, at least sushi especially is like that. But even, when we were making the dumplings and whatnot, it's a lot of like, it ends up being a very simple dish, but it's the work that went into it that makes it very, sort of more complex than you would think it is.
No, and believe me, I totally understand. So when you were also saying about organization, still being free to cook, but have an organized way of doing it, I was like, see, this excites me because we're sitting here, we're talking about sushi, and I'm relating all this stuff together because I was like, I see the organization, but I see the freeness of being able to do without any type of constraints of saying, okay, well, this is how we're going to do this particular type of dish, but here was just kind of like,
put whatever you want in it
and throw it out the window. Exactly. So I appreciate your creativity on that, and I know that there are a lot of other foodies out there that feel the same way that you do, that and I'm quite sure I haven't really had the opportunity of meeting like restaurateur chefs that go, you see them on television, but to really talk to them face to face and have a conversation and know that, okay, I feed off of that creativity, because even when I'm watching it on television, I'm thinking, oh, well, I could do something similar to that, not specifically that,
not exactly that, but now like the technique or whatever,
and a foundation that you would actually be using. So that's awesome. Do you have any type of favorite foods that you like?
Probably Japanese food is the number one for me. It's just I can't.
Understood.
I've grown up with it. I feel the most comfortable flavor profile wise cooking in that genre, so it's definitely holds a special place for me.
As it should. I know for me, and I've talked about it on the show in the past, my parents are from Central America, so yes, I have that I guess that need to have food that my parents make. But also because of there's a Latin undertone and kind of I guess I'll say wave that comes along with it. I lean towards having more Latin foods and Latin flavors and spices and things, and living in TJ for a little bit, it was just kind of like I need a taco every now and then, or more than that really, but I'm just saying
and so a lot of it is what you're exposed to
exactly
when you're younger.
I'm thankful that I have I probably should ask you, what type of, do you have a wider range or a different variety of foods that you also enjoy? I mean, I know we talked about your favorite, but is there something a bit wider that you like, or other things?
Oh, I mean, there's nothing that I don't enjoy.
Okay.
I would say.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. South American flavors, Mexican food.
Nice.
Love Thai food. It's all over the place, really.
That's what being a foodie is about. Is not really having any type of constraints on, okay, I only like this type of food, or I don't know, I don't think I'll try that. That's no. It's being at least willing to try something.
Open to it. Yeah. I think it's so interesting how, culturally, Japanese food is just what I've always been exposed to, and it's always been a huge part of family gatherings and a huge part of the community that I grew up in, but also like the physical place, Chicago, where I grew up. Like, my family stands hard for Chicago hot dogs, Chicago deep dish pizza.
Nice.
Like, that stuff is huge. We always, every time we have family from out of town and whatnot, we make sure.
That's awesome, because Chicago is my town. Or, I mean, I'm not even from Chicago, but I'm not, but I love Chicago. It has so much rich culture, but the food, I mean, you could go from one end of the city to the and not even one end of the city. You could go in in a general block, or maybe just one particular neighborhood, and find all these variety of different types of foods, and you're
Absolutely.
like, wow. You have Indian over here, you have Japanese over here, you have Chinese over here. I'm like, dang, this is a food mecca. No.
It's a great city.
I love it there.
Minneapolis too.
No.
St. Paul. There's a lot.
I'm not taking anything away from Minneapolis and St. Paul, because I think a number of, we even see, people from other celebrities, chefs and so forth, they come here. I mean, these are their stops that they come to when they are trying to find out what's creative within a new city and so forth. And to come to
there's so much here.
Yeah, so much. Is there a favorite dish that you like to prepare?
I would say, I have a favorite dish that I like to prepare. Sort of, my mom and I usually prepare it, and it's something that we've done for a while now. Have you ever had mochi?
I have not.
Okay. Do you know what it is?
I don't. I was just going to ask you if you could explain it.
So mochi,
I'm not even going to try to pretend.
It's sticky rice that's been sort of, so you soak it overnight, and then you cook it, and it sort of congeals. It sounds really unappetizing. So it congeals into this sort of paste, and then traditionally what you do is you pound it until it forms into a smooth sort of patty, and then you sort of you can separate it and turn it into little dumplings.
Okay.
And so, like, back home in Chicago, what happens is there's a whole festival around it called Mochitsuki, and it is where the whole Japanese American community that I grew up in sort of gets together. I grew up, my family's Buddhist, and so we go to the Buddhist temple, and this is where it's held. Mochitsuki is held, and basically it's a really cool process, because what happens is you have this big bowl, like the big granite or rock bowl, and then there's usually 3 to 4 people that have wooden mallets, and so you put the sticky rice into the bowl, and then there's one person who will push, will like turn the sort of congealed mass, if you will. So delicious. And so everyone goes around like with a mallet, and you go hit, and then roll.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like very rhythmic and very physical. And that's sort of how you get it to be smooth.
Okay.
Traditionally. My mom and I use a machine.
Hey, nothing wrong with it. If it produces the same exact result,
exactly.
That's the important thing.
But again, it's the same sort of process of where it's you have something and you know sort of how to do it, but then you can put different things in it if you want. Usually we have it plain, and so you just you form them into little patties.
Okay.
And then it's so good. But it's so simple because it's just rice, and then you either eat it with shoyu and sugar sauce.
Okay.
That's all it is. And you can eat it fresh, and it's amazing, just like the texture of it. And it's so we make it around New Year's.
Okay.
Because it's put in a dish called ozoni that you eat on New Year's Day.
Ozoni?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's basically like a fish-based broth, and you put the mochi in there with a bunch of different cooked vegetables, Japanese vegetables, and it's supposed to be good luck.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so you make it close to New Year's, so when I go home
okay.
that time, that's when we usually make it.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a fun process.
Well, it's also a family tradition,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and something that really keeps the family, I don't know how you put other than holding that tradition, basically. Traditions are important to me as well. So I could definitely appreciate, you know, being with your family and doing things like that. I've always said in the past or previous shows that food brings people together, and especially when it's your family, it's almost like you forget about things for a while,
mm-hmm.
and you're just concentrating on being together, being with each other,
right.
encouraging and so forth. And cooking, I know for my family, I go back home to Los Angeles. The first thing my father's like, "When are you coming? What are we cooking?" I mean, there are times where I don't even really have time to rest, because by the time I'm stepping off of either a plane or driving or whatever the case is, I'm going to the store because I have to go cook something. Yeah, which is fine. You know, it's all about cooking, and I love it. So I'm not mad about that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. Is there some food or some dish that you have that you haven't tried and that you'd like to try?
Huh. I'm not quite sure if there's something that I can think of right off the top of my head that's like, oh, I haven't tried that, but I would like to. I'm sure there's some fair food.
Okay. We'll be talking about that shortly. So yeah, I can only imagine. I'm with you. Even though I asked the question of you, I can't really.
Right,
I
it's
can't
hard to think of something exactly or specific that you're like, oh, I've been wanting to try that.
Right. Have you gone out of the country to and traveled to other countries that you found something that was like you never thought you probably would enjoy, or maybe you're like, okay, well, I'll try it, mm-hmm. and then you're like, oh my God. I'm glad I tried it, because if I came here, missed the opportunity to try a dish. Has that ever happened?
Let's see. Well, the most recent time I've traveled out of the country was this past spring. Claire and I went to Iceland.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so there, we had one meal that was like a tasting menu meal, and it was they had a lot of different like traditional cuisines, and they served us puffin.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was kind of sad.
Is what I'm thinking is.
They're like those cute little
Aww.
animals. But it was like one of those things that we were like, we're glad we tried this
but,
for the experience.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, you know.
Oh, crap. Well, I totally understand that. But it was a good experience. It was a good experience. So I think that kind of helped quite a bit, maybe. Even though, you said it was, I'd be sad by that. But that's okay. That's all right. Well, I want to take a moment and just recognize and let you all know that you are listening to WEQY LP station, St. Paul. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. So I just want to continue on and ask you one or two other questions. I know that you are working on other projects, but let me just once again mention, and I'll let you answer that in just a moment, but I just want to mention to our listening audience that once again you are listening to WEQY LP St. Paul. So what other projects are you actually working on? I know that aside from being a foodie, you work in, or you're involved in the arts. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Or
so I work for an organization that it provides, training and resources for adults with disabilities to pursue careers as performing artists or visual artists. And so I do community outreach and recruitment for Interact. That's what the organization is called.
Awesome, cool.
Yeah, it's a great place to work. There's always really, really fun things going on.
Well, I wanted to make sure that the listening audience had a full rounded view of what you do. I mean, I know we're talking about food and so forth, but to get to know you as an individual and, the things that you're currently involved in. So again, thanks so much. I believe Carly is going to stay with us for a little bit while we're talking about fair foods, but I wanted to just thank you so much for, going back and forth with my questions and for the interviews and whatnot.
Thank you for having me.
Is there do you want to mention maybe about your Instagram account, or if you'd like anybody to follow you or anything, or Facebook? Again, that's up to you, but don't feel like you have to.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you are interested
in food,
and want to see food that I take pictures of,
that's okay. It's art. She's an artist.
Then you can go ahead and give me a follow.
Oh man, we're about to move into a segment that I how do I say, it's still about food, but it's about so much fair food, and I've had a lot of fair food yesterday. Carly's laughing at me. We've already discussed how I'm feeling about the fair food that I've had, but yes, we're going to talk about fair food.
Fair time. Great Minnesota gets it.
Exactly. If you have not already been to the fair or have not heard information, regarding what foods are out there for the fair, I'm telling you, if you go to the minnesotastatefair.org website, there is a specific area that talks about the 32 new foods that are there at the fair. Now, those are the 32 new foods that have been published. I've learned that there are some others that you might not be familiar with. Those aren't the ones that I will be talking about, because I'll be talking about the 32, but I'm just saying that as in passing, I've seen some others that I'm like, okay, it's not on the list, but I have to remember it. Anyway,
overwhelming. It's so overwhelming.
But it's so good. This is, I don't really have anything negative to say about any of the foods. And I think, as anyone knows that has been listening to the show, I'm all about promoting your food experience. We're not here to critique, business, vendors, and so forth. what type of experience did I have with the food is my way of trying to put my show together and, encourage others and listening. Do you want to find out about a food experience or finding out about a particular restaurant in your local neighborhood or area, or in this case at the fair? That's what my show is about. And I just want to say that thus far, I know that there is fair food that it's kind of catches you off guard. It's beyond words. Some of them are just so great that you're like, okay, where do I say no? But I'll start off with what I can because we were having a conversation earlier about how do people that are also involved with or that love food as much as I say you and I and many audience listeners out there, how do you go out there and taste all these different foods? Are you there by yourself? Are you there with friends? How much money do you spend?
Yeah, right, exactly. I think it's all about pacing too.
I think
you can't go in too hot and heavy, otherwise
you really can't. And I don't know. I think maybe because I was so excited, I wanted to. I really did. I think everyone knows. Earlier in the week, I was posting and saying how excited I was about Fair Foods and that I was excited to go. That when I got there, I didn't even know where to begin. So I went with friends and went to the International Bazaar. And that's where it really is an international bazaar. I mean, so if you've gone there, you know that it covers so many different countries, if you would, and different ethnic foods. But there was one that I had looked and did research online about the newest Fair Foods, and it's called Carpe Diem. I never pronounced that correctly. But and I'm just gonna read the description of how they described it there. It's I don't know, Carly, what's that word? I think it's taiyaki. Okay. Anyway, it says that it's a taiyaki or shaped fish buttermilk miso waffle cone filled with balsamic roasted strawberry compote. And then it's topped with vanilla ice cream, graham cracker crumbs, and fresh strawberry. And the Rabbit Hole, they are located in the Midtown Global Market. They actually have a booth in the International Bazaar. It's on the East Wall. Now, keep in mind, though, it's only available from August 25th through the 30th. So already, I know I've had it. I don't know about anybody else. Whoop, whoop.
I'm about to get after that tomorrow when I'm there. Absolutely.
I would encourage you all to have that. I know it's a dessert, and maybe you want to start off with, savory stuff and work your way up, and then have all your desserts and stuff.
No rules at the fair.
I know there's not. That's why it was the very first thing that I had, so and I didn't feel any guilt. But I know some folks might. They're like, oh no, I can't start off with that. I need to start off with something savory and then work my way up. I'm like, I don't care.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
I don't care. But that was the first thing that I had, and man.
Set the tone for the day.
It did.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Wait. I lied. I really did. I forgot. I started off with a foot-long hot dog.
Of course.
But that was because, again, we started at the fair early. I was at a friend's house at 8 o'clock. We left. We were taking public transportation because we didn't really want to do with traffic. So that's something to take into consideration, people. If you really want to go to the fair and you kind of don't want to have to spend a lot of money on parking or parking a far distance, public transportation will get you there. You got to be patient, though. I mean, just as patient as driving in your vehicle, but public transportation.
Did you use the park and ride, or
I did not use a park and ride.
I used to use the park and ride, and that's pretty smooth.
No,
actually.
right. I know there's some friends that they live in Lakeville, and they use a park and ride, and they they started out at what is it? The Mall of America. So I think they probably drove there, parked, and then took a shuttle from there because the shuttle was coming
Right.
from the Mall of America. And that worked out fine for them. For some friends that live over they live in Maplewood, and I live in St. Paul, so we met at their home, and then we went down to Union Depot, and then took the rail over, and then the bus just up maybe what's supposed to be just a few blocks, but still we got there safely. We really didn't have to worry about time and so forth. But when we got up in there, it was about 9:30, maybe 10. But yeah, the first thing I had was the hot dog. So I didn't stand corrected about that. See, I was a little bit excited about having the carp diem. But immediately after that, after having that hot dog, I had already known that I'm going to have that. So when we were meeting the other friends from Lakeville in the International Bazaar. I'm like, where is this thing? Where I need it.
I saw it.
Yes, I saw two people. They each had, they were holding the waffle cone, and I'm like, where are those fish? Where? I need to find them. Somebody's like, oh, it's over there in the corner. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm there. So yeah, please, if you will be doing a disservice to yourself if you do not have one of these. There are so many other things that are on this list that again, I think you have to kind of like do your own research and kind of look through it and see what your taste buds are gonna kind of like fight you and say, we having this. Just like that. We having this. Not we are having this. We are going to partake in any of it. We having this. We having it. I think another interesting one, and again, keep in mind that was from the Rabbit Hole. It's only there a limited time.
Rabbit Hole's so good.
Yes. Isn't there a commercial or commercials that say, or commercials sometimes say, only for a limited time? Yeah, limited time, people. Limited time, the 30th. So I know this is a bunch of banter and everything, but don't miss out. The next one I want to mention was the macaroni and cheese curds. Okay, macaroni and cheese curds, they were very good. And I think I put on my Facebook page a picture of it. It was awesome. The star of this dish, I believe, was the cheese curds. It was good. It really was good. But I think it was only because of when I came here to Minnesota, or just the Midwest in general, to have cheese curds. I've never really had that. And
yeah, me neither.
I never had that. I was
oh,
like, this is a different texture. I don't know about cheese like this. What was happening?
I just didn't understand them. I was like, what is this? I don't
These
get
lumps
this
of
at all.
things.
I know, they're little lumpy little golden nuggets. And I'm like, oh, so appetizing.
Exactly. And then to have it in this, I was like, oh my word. Okay.
Having a moment.
Yeah, I'm having a moment. Don't look at me. I'm eating my food. That's one of my things. It's like, please don't watch me while I eat my food.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
See,
I'm like, you don't need to see this.
No, exactly.
Especially if it's something that's really enjoyable.
Exactly.
Like you don't. Avert your gaze.
Please, I don't want to harm you. I don't want you to be, oh my, is he a velociraptor? Is he a T-Rex?
Can
what?
he control himself?
I know.
No.
He's just grazing. No, mommy, no. Look away. Look away, my son. Look away, child. No. But yeah.
Anyway.
mac and cheese curds. Another good dish. And I'm just gonna say these are my favorites. These are the only things that I've had at the fair. There are so many other different things, and I'll name off a few things. Believe me, you might think that they don't sound right, or you can't picture it, but trust me, being there at the fair and seeing it either made or smelling these different aromas that are just hitting you from all different sides. Candied bacon donut sliders. It's a sliced glazed donut holes with thick candied bacon and a chocolate red wine ganache that's drizzled over top. It's at Understreet between Carnes and just Judson. I want to say Johnson Avenues, but it's being offered by the Minnesota Wine Country. I saw someone else. I didn't have any, but I was walking by because I was on a mission to go someplace else and have something else that I needed to have.
Caught your eye.
Yes, that caught my eye. But this one, while someone else was walking by, I was like, what is that? What is that? What is that? And people walk too fast with their food when you're at the fair. It's, I suppose they're going to run and try to sit down somewhere. Anyway, that was one that was interesting. Some friends tried the cheesy French onion monkey bread, and it has a description of being savory. It's pull apart artisan bread loaf that's filled with caramelized onions, cheese, and beef broth, and then baked on a wood-fired oven. That's being offered at the Blue Moon Dine-In Theater. They're located at the northeast corner of Carnes Avenue and Chambers Street. So, I could go on and on. I am about to mention, though, this one is not on the new 32 foods that are at the fair. But I showed Carly a picture of it this morning.
It looks so good.
It was the deep fried cheesecake. Now, see, it was at a time.
So healthy.
Yeah, it really was. It was delicious. Nice flaky crust and everything. It was a wonderful marriage of foods. But I'll say that I had stopped. I was on a break for food. I needed to have something to drink.
Respite, so you decided to get deep fried cheesecake.
Yeah, we were walking by, and I was really looking for something to drink. I said, I need to get a refill on my liquids and replenish my fluids in me, and keep myself hydrated. So I was getting some lemonade, and all of a sudden, I'm seeing this. I'm like, what are you guys cooking? Oh, deep fried cheesecake. Deep fried Snickers. I'm like, no, the Snickers really doesn't sound interesting right about now, because I know another friend had it that previous year. But the cheesecake, I was like, well, I've never had that before. Carly, have you had that before?
I have not had that before.
So, they offered so many different drizzled toppings: caramel, raspberry, strawberry. I think there was a chocolate one as well. I went with the raspberry. And you can see it on my Facebook page. Trust me, I had already taken a bite out of it. I was a little bit too excited.
Sometimes that's how it happens.
That's what I was about to say. It happens sometimes. When you're a foodie and you're about to taste something that you've not had before, you
overcome with excitement. You can't.
You get you forgetful that, oh wait, I'm supposed to be at least taking a picture of it and posting it somewhere. And well, that's what happened. So I took a bite of it first, and there's some. You know who you are. You're listening out there. Maybe you're not listening out there. You apparently took a video of me verbalizing to this deep fried cheesecake how much I'm in love with it.
That's amazing.
And we'll just call that the uncut version of the Un-Bougie Foodie. We'll leave that alone. But they did catch me having a bite, and then I remembered, oh wait, I'm sorry, I have to take a picture of this, I have to post this, I have to take a picture. But it was only I had a bite in my mouth first. Anyway, please, if you see this wonderful delicacy, it is a delicacy.
I mean, nowhere else.
Yeah,
only at the state fair.
Exactly. Please have more sweets before you have your real meals, because yes, it was delicious, and you will probably have to sit down and wish that you didn't have it so early on in your travels through the fair. But no, it's very, very, very good. And again, it's not one of the ones. It's one that is most likely a fair staple. But still, the fact that I've never had it before, and I've seen it, but just
Where was it? What was the? Do you remember the vendor?
no.
No.
Dang. I guess what I was. I think I wasn't having heat stroke or anything. I was too excited. I really was. I admit.
Blacked out.
I said I need something to drink. I remember we were really looking for some place to drink. We needed something to drink, and then we came across this, and they just happened to also be serving these wonderful. Yes, everything, everyone. I was in a black hole. Okay, maybe not.
Fair enough.
I wasn't in a black hole. I was lost in my thoughts of food,
which can also be a black hole.
Well, I'm trying to make this all positive.
In a good way.
In a good way. Yes, exactly. So I'm going to touch on a savory subject, which, the savoriness. You got to understand about the savoriness. There are so many different savory foods that are out there at the fair. But I know that for individuals that like barbecue or the uniqueness of having, and I'll just say, burnt, or what do they describe them as? On a pork, call it pork butt ends, when you're cutting it a certain kind of way, there are these ends that are left a little fatty, but they still have some meat to it. They have so much flavor, especially if they've been barbecued all together, and you've seen it so many times. I can't, it slips me where it slips in my mind right now where I've had them before or had something like it. But at the fair, it is item number 22 or 21, on the list, the burnt butt ends. So it's described as having or being premium cuts of pork seasoned with a barbecue rub, then smoked over oaken, served with onions and jalapenos. And you could find that, right? You could find that at RC Barbecue. They're located at the north side of West Dan Patch Avenue between Leggett and Chambers. It used to be, it's at the place where Famous Dave's used to be. So if you familiar with it and knew where Famous Dave's was, RC Barbecue is now there, and they are serving these burnt butt ends. The flavor of these burnt ends apparently was undeniable. That's, it's making my mouth water because, we have 12 days of the fair to deal with. Okay, no, see, that sounded bad. Not deal with, to enjoy, to look forward to. Because I'm going back. I don't know about anybody else. I know I've already gone. They said, oh well, one time's already good enough, and we don't have to go back. It's like, okay, well, when you're a food person, you gotta go and try other things and so forth. So, that's what I'm looking forward to. What are you looking forward to, Carly?
I mean, everything that you said, pretty much. Sorry. I have not been yet, so I have not had a first pass at anything. So my mind is racing right now.
Exactly.
Like, so many options.
Oh man, I'm telling you, when I tell you that, the food there is unique. It's top notch. I really don't have.
It really is.
I can't complain about anything, and not that I would be complaining, but I don't have anything negative to say. I mean, I really don't. And
the fair is something like I've never experienced before. I really did not understand it when I first moved here. I was like, I don't get what this is.
No.
But you gotta lean into it.
You do.
And once you do, you love it.
And you can't let go of it either. It really is like
like there's no looking back.
It really is like it just captures you and you can't get away. and you're like, how is this happening? I'm not supposed to
Right.
like all of this stuff. I'm not supposed
I
to.
know.
This is weird.
That's what I think. I'm like, I don't like crowds. I don't like things like these.
And being out
types-
in the heat
Right.
and, you know, people watching with your food. Because, yeah. But then you
Yeah,
kind of.
just mainlining food in front of thousands of people.
And you totally forget all about that.
You
Trust
really
me.
do.
You really do. You forget all about it. Forget all about it. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so admittedly, there's so much more that we could talk about fair food, but I really have to say that you have to experience it for yourself because, you know, there's so many things that we could go on and on. We really could spend another, not that we are, but we could spend probably another hour or two talking about
yeah.
different foods and what's at the fair and what you should probably, you know, have. But we won't. We can't because
You got to figure it out.
yeah,
for yourself.
you really do. You really do. Go there and experience it. Get out there and take your families, take yourself. Enjoy the time out there at the fair with your friends too, and try different foods. I mean, again, being a foodie is not specific to, okay, this is the only type of food or only place that I could enjoy certain foods or whatever. It's like, no, if you are a person that enjoys food, no matter where you are, you should be willing to take the leap and just experience what that food offers you. You know, whether it be the vendor that's offering you a specific type of food, or even, you know, a restaurant that you've gone to. You know, don't be labeled or put into a particular label about what type of food you'd like to enjoy or what type of foodie you are, because I know I've said this in the past, it really is all about the food. And you know, experiencing and being out there with people regarding that. So yeah, I mean, anything that what would you like to add on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I know. I think that especially the label of foodie has certain connotations to it of being rather pretentious, but it really is just like you said, whatever you find interesting to your palate and what makes you excited. So
and I appreciate you saying that and adding that, because you know, we talk about on, you know, in the past and on, you know, through our time frame that you know, food is just, it's not one to really be judged, if you would. I mean,
absolutely,
you know, people shouldn't, you know, feel the need. Everyone has different tastes. I think if we all had the same taste, what kind of, there's no,
so boring.
it would be boring. I mean, there's no real creativity or anything that anybody would have if we all had the same taste. I mean, what I like may not be something that Carly might like, or my producer might like, or, you know, whomever. Just the fact that, you know, we have these different tastes and, you know, ideas on how we like our food. Yeah, that's pretty much how you really should be. But, you know, we're coming to a close on the show. I want to thank my guest host, Carly Matsumoto, for being here. Thank you so much, Carly.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
It was a pleasure, actually. So it really was an honor, actually, because, you know, this is watching you that day doing sushi was just so much fun. And then, you know, doing it, experience it, it really was. So thank you all so much for tuning in. You know, more information probably in the upcoming, well, maybe next week I'll probably talk about some more fair food. But as we come to a close, again, I want to thank all of my listeners out there. You're listening to WEQY 104.7, the voice of the East Side. And as, again, we come to a close, I want to remind you not to let anyone put you in a box or describe what type of foodie you are, because it really is all about the food. Thank you again so much for listening, and get out there and enjoy that food, especially fair food. Peace, folks.